All right, cool. So thank you so much for joining us for this live course report Q&A. My name is Liz Eggleston, and I run Course Report, which is a resource for choosing the coding bootcamp that's right for you. So my plug that I give in all of these webinars and Q&As is check out Course Report, use our directory of coding bootcamps, read reviews from alumni, find student and instructor spotlights on our blog. We have a bunch with Coder Foundry and a ton with other schools as well. It's a great resource. So today I'm really excited to talk with Andrew Jensen, who is the Director of Education and the lead instructor at Coder Foundry, which is in North Carolina. And y'all just opened a new campus, right, Andrew?
Yes, we opened in Charlotte after that.
Awesome. So before teaching at a coding bootcamp, Andrew is actually a university professor as well. So he's been on both sides of the fence. And Andrew has a 12-year background as a software developer and a technical writer and a corporate trainer as well. So we are really excited to get some of his thoughts about a couple of current events, recent things that have been happening with the college scorecard and how computer science degrees and coding bootcamp sort of compare, which is something that we're always thinking about. So really excited to have Andrew with us. Andrew, can you tell us a little bit more about your background? Tell us where you taught and what level you were teaching.
Sure. So for the last 10 plus years, I've been teaching at UNC Charlotte and UNC Greensboro, teaching computer science classes at both those locations. Prior to that, I spent a lot of time as a corporate trainer and technical writer, as you mentioned, working for software companies. I traveled all over the world teaching computer programming classes on proprietary software systems.
Cool, that's awesome.
Yeah.
So you've had experience in the industry, in higher education, and now at a boot camp, so
yes.
Pretty comprehensive. Okay, cool. So the Department of Education put out this college scorecard in September. This released, like, tracks university student outcomes for the first time. That's really pretty cool to us. Can you tell us a little bit about your first impressions from that college scorecard?
Sure. First impressions. Honestly, I wasn't terribly surprised with what I saw. The one thing that did surprise me actually was graduation rates. They were lower than I expected.
Mm-hmm.
So that was a little bit surprising. But in terms of the other data, the cost to attend the university's job salaries coming out, those really weren't surprising. And while university costs are relatively high across the board, I think, the salaries coming out on the back end are relatively low. The one thing that's not in there, at least readily, that I would like to see, and so I'm going to be spending quite a bit of time digging into the data myself, I want to find out the number of students that are actually graduating and obtaining jobs to calculate those salary numbers, because you're not going to include zero-income individuals in those salary figures. So I really want to find out the exact percentage of students that are obtaining jobs coming out of universities. I believe it's going to be pretty low.
So if people want to follow along as we're talking about the college scorecard, it's collegescorecard.ed.gov. And there's a lot of data in there, so definitely a ton to keep researching. But yeah, it is really interesting stuff, and cool ways that they've kind of spliced the data themselves as well.
Yeah.
And we hear the boot camps called high ROI education. The outcomes are sort of a lot more aligned with the interest of students. Did you notice anything interesting about computer science degrees in particular in that college scorecard?
I haven't gotten into the data for specific degrees yet, so I don't really have anything I can share with you on that, but I will soon.
So I think that we sort of get the gist of that college scorecard when we look at specific schools and then just universities in general, that a lot of students aren't receiving the career outcomes that they were hoping for, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah, that's
why do you think, with your experience in traditional higher education, why do you think that some schools are failing to meet those computer science graduates expectations?
Sure, there's a number of different reasons. I think the biggest reasons, however, are the fact that a student comes out of a university with absolutely no demonstrable portfolio. They don't have applications they can actually demonstrate to anyone, and the reason they don't have applications is because they don't spend enough time actually writing code. The amount of time they have to write code is very, very limited. About 90% of their time is spent studying theory, not actually the practical application of that theory. And so
Can you tell us?
Yeah, go ahead.
No, go ahead. Keep going.
Okay, I was just going to say we do a great job in universities of teaching people how to do things that have already been done. And you know, it's great to teach someone how to write a linked list, but you know, we can use those things that have already been written. We don't have to keep doing it over and over again. There are lots and lots of things that we could be doing for our students to prepare them for the business world, which we're not doing. We're failing in that department.
The practical application or the practical practice that students get in a computer science program, what does that usually consist of?
Very, very small.
The 10% that they do get to do.
Yeah, really small homework assignments, and it's not geared towards the type of application that you would actually be building in a job. You're writing really simple programs to demonstrate concepts, but you're not doing anything that that a business is going to look for.
So if we all know, and I think like maybe just because we think about boot camps so much, we hear this argument all the time that there's like this trade-off between boot camps and computer science degrees, that computer science degrees aren't giving people the practice and like that portfolio that they need. And if we know that, then why aren't traditional colleges doing it? Like, why haven't they changed their curriculum to incorporate some new technologies?
Quite frankly, because change is really difficult to accomplish at that level. The universities are really kind of handcuffed by the accreditation system, in my opinion. Now, I think that works great for certain subjects. I'll give you an example. You know, the number of hours a student is exposed to Shakespeare or should be exposed to Shakespeare isn't going to change. Hasn't changed in a long time. It's not going to change in the future. I love Shakespeare. I read it for pleasure. But you don't. He's not going to write anything new. You know, we're always going to study Macbeth. We're always going to study King Lear. We're always going to study Hamlet. That's just the way it is, and that's not likely to change. So I think a system that requires a certain number of hours spent on certain topic areas is great for those types of fields. That's terrific. But computer science doesn't fit that model. That's a field that changes too quickly. It evolves so rapidly that it's impossible for an accreditation system to keep up with the rapid state of change. And
computer science, oh, go ahead.
I was just going to say, and as a result, we wind up teaching archaic things. We teach our students things that are completely irrelevant in the business world today. We don't need to be teaching them technologies that they're never going to use, but that's precisely what we do because that's what it takes to receive accreditation in a computer science department.
When you were teaching computer science, what language did you get to teach students, or did you ever get to teach something where they could like build an actual project?
So in my classes, we didn't really have any specific projects the students were supposed to build. The one class well, I should say two classes where that changed a little bit was I taught a software engineering class where I tried to make the class project-based. It really wasn't that way in the syllabus, in the course design, but I tried to do that for the students because I wanted them to have that experience. Likewise, I taught an intelligent tutoring systems class, which I was fortunate enough to teach. It was a class of my own design, and I was able to create that exclusively as a project-based class, and so students were finally able to build something that they could get their hands in. And both of those environments worked out really well. The students had a lot of fun building those projects, but most of the classes you take in a program just don't lend themselves to that. You don't have that opportunity, and it's really unfortunate.
For computer science students who do graduate and get a job after they graduate, what are they doing? Are they learning on their own in addition to their computer science degree? Like, are they doing Code Academy as well, or are companies just sort of like assuming that because they have a CS degree, like they're ready to start a job as a software engineer?
Yeah, I think in a lot of cases the assumption is made that since they have the degree, then they're ready to start. However, I think that most companies are aware of the fact that these students may have a great foundation in terms of computer science theory. They may have the ability to learn, but they don't have the practical experience, practical application to be able to build what's expected of them coming out of the gate. And so what winds up happening is you have a lot of on-the-job learning. In fact, we get emails from employers that are interested in our students, and one of the consistent complaints they have is the amount of time they have to invest in training new employees.
Mhm.
Because people that are coming out of school just don't have the skills they need.
That's totally fair. So why did you and how did you switch to Coder Foundry, to the bootcamp model? How did you find out about it? Like, were you wary of it? What did you think?
I didn't know anything about it at all. I knew nothing about coding boot camps. I'd never been exposed to it at all. I was fortunate enough to have our CTO, Bobby Davis, walk into one of my classes at UNC Greensboro. He came in to give an entrepreneurial presentation to my students, and he won me over. He talked about this idea that he had for this Coder Foundry thing, and I thought, you know, that's exactly what I wish I could be doing. I really want to. That's what I want to do. I want to be teaching people things that matter. I want to be able to bridge this gap between what a computer science program is teaching and what a business is looking for. So I asked him to stick around. We talked. He said, hey, you want a job?
Was there a ramp-up period for you, like going
Absolutely.
from teaching theory to, like, how did you, I think that's like actually a huge thing that we think about with boot camps now is like, who are the instructors? Who's actually like teaching these classes, and how do you know if someone's qualified to teach? Like, obviously you were qualified to teach computer science. How did you learn to be a boot camp instructor?
So what I had to do was learn, well, really had to learn some new things. Prior to coming here, I didn't have a lot of exposure to C# and the .NET platform. That just wasn't my thing. As a professor at a university, most of the student projects were in Java. And most of the work that I had done before that in industry was all in C++. So yeah, I could write and I could teach Java and C++ till the cows come home. That was great. But C# was kind of a new thing for me. Fortunately, it's really, really similar to Java. Really similar. So if you can write or teach in Java, you can probably handle C#. Learning the .NET platform was exciting. It was a new thing for me. And what these folks asked me to do was come in and build a curriculum for this school where that was built upon these principles. And it was all stuff that I didn't really know how to do yet. So yeah, there was a little bit of ramp-up time, a lot of hours spent in personal study time and figuring out exactly how I wanted to design this program. So we built this system on tried and true educational science rather than our current university model. You know, one of the things that I find really really surprising is that in the university setting we bestow the greatest amount of credit on hours spent sitting in a classroom listening to a lecture. And you don't even have to listen. How many classes did you sleep through when you were in college? You know, but we bestow the greatest amount of credit on that experience. But it takes 3 times more hours in a lab environment where you're actually doing something and actively learning to receive the same amount of credit. That really surprises me. I don't know why we do that. When we know the educational science is there and it tells us that the greatest learning comes through doing and through teaching. Applying what you have learned, what you've acquired in terms of knowledge, applying that knowledge and teaching it to others provides the greatest amount of retention. The least effective is to sit and listen to somebody lecture and reading a textbook. But that's what we ask our students to do, and that's what we give them the most credit for.
Have you kept any of the techniques or like the lecture or even the concepts in the curriculum that you were teaching computer science students? Like, do you still do some lecture at Coder Foundry?
We do or lecture.
No? Okay.
Absolutely we do. But we don't believe in long lectures. You know, I've sat through many 3-hour-long night class sessions in universities. I've taught many of those, and it's really tough to keep a student's attention in that environment. We don't do things like that. At Coder Foundry, we really try to keep our lectures short. If we're going beyond 30 or 45 minutes in a particular lecture period, that's way too long. What we want to do is we want to give our students concepts, things that they can work with immediately, and then put them to work. Here's a little bit of information, now get busy with it. And we do that. Then we come back and say, here's a little bit more, now get busy with that. And it's Teach them something, get them to work with it. Teach them something that builds on what they've done, get them to work with that.
How many weeks long is the...
It's 12
Sorry,
weeks.
we just cut out for a second.
Yeah, that's all right. Our program's 12 weeks long. Yeah.
How so how many hours would you say a typical student in the masterclass program is putting into Coder Foundry after all is said and done?
After all that's said and done, on top of the hours that they spend actually listening to us, they spend more than 600 hours writing code.
Wow.
Yeah. That's
How
a
does
lot.
that... Yeah, it is a lot, for 12 weeks especially. How does that compare to a computer science degree? Have you ever thought about that? I have not done that calculation, so if you haven't, totally fair, but I'm just curious if you had.
Yeah, I have actually, and there's two reasons I've thought about it. One is I actually went back, when I first started putting this program together, I went back and I calculated the number of hours that I expected out of my students in the classes that I taught, and I estimated that they get maybe about 100 hours of coding during a computer science program in a 4-year school. We're asking for more than 600 hours in 12 weeks.
Wow.
On top of that, we've just recently finished some work for the state in terms of calculating credit hours and things like that. And our program covers the equivalent of 30 total credit hours based upon university calculations. If you use the same calculations a university does to calculate credit hours for their classes, lab, things like that, our course covers 30 full credit hours. That's 2 full semesters at a full load, 15 credits for a student. That's 5 classes, right? 5 classes a semester. So really what we're covering is 10 classes worth of information based upon university calculations. That's a lot of work.
Yep.
In 12 weeks.
Yeah. Absolutely. What outcomes are you seeing when you compare the outcomes of Coder Foundry as a boot camp, or just boot camps in general, to the college graduates that you were working with?
Jobs. Yeah. The outcome is that these students are prepared to receive employment. Quite honestly, that's it. I've had hundreds of students in the university setting, and a handful of those I know of received jobs upon graduation. Most of those received those jobs as a result of extending an internship that they worked on. But our primary focus is to put students in jobs. We're not interested in educating them. We're interested in putting them in a job. Now, the means to do so is to educate them and give them the skills that they need. But our primary goal is to actually make a difference. We want to make a difference in these people's lives. We want to put them to work. And that's why I left the university setting to come here. I got into academia for me. I really liked the idea of summers off. That was really cool. I don't get that anymore. But I left that environment and came here because I was tired of not being able to give my students what they really needed. And here I get to do exactly that.
Have you ever, or have you found that you adapt the curriculum or have changed the curriculum at Coder Foundry in response to feedback from an employer? Like, do employers have say over what y'all end up teaching?
We consider what the employers in our network are looking for very heavily. And yes, as a result, I have modified the curriculum a little bit from the beginning. In fact, I've changed it a little bit each class, but done any staggering modifications. We've added focus on certain elements, spent a little more time on SQL or something like that. We add some focus elements here and there to improve things. Mostly, what we do is we evaluate each student and see how those students are progressing through the course, and say, how can we best make this work for the student? If a student is struggling, how can we improve the curriculum so that that student doesn't struggle so bad? How can we make it so that the greatest number of our students are employable at the end of this course? Those are the types of things we focus on when it comes to curriculum changes.
Yeah, that makes sense. So obviously, technology has evolved. You no longer really need a computer science degree necessarily for every developer job.
Absolutely.
What types of jobs, though, there are those still definitely jobs that at least, when you're applying, require a computer science degree or at least like a 4-year degree. What types of jobs would you say still require that like computer science degree? Like, could a bootcamp graduate who has no experience beforehand, like, what types of jobs can you really expect that person to go into versus like higher level, I guess, computer science degree?
Any way you look at it, the degree, in my opinion, the degree has very little bearing on the quality of job you can get, because in this industry, what matters is what you can do. If you can write code, if you can build an application front to back, if you can build a production-level application, a commercial-grade application for an employer, then you can get a job. It doesn't matter if you started doing that 3 months ago or if you started doing it 13 years. It doesn't matter. What matters is, can you do the job today? I think that's a lot more important and a lot more relevant these days than a degree is, and I think that businesses in this industry are starting to figure that out. In fact, I'll tell you, a really interesting article just came out the other day. Ernst & Young, UK accounting firm, conducted their own independent research and discovered that there was absolutely no correlation between university success and professional success in their company. And as a result, they're removing their degree requirements from job descriptions. If you can do the job, then you can get the job, is basically what they're saying. And I think that if Ernst & Young can do that on the accounting side, why can't we do that on the programming side? The computer science degree only means you've been exposed to a lot of practical theory in terms of, say, object-oriented programming or computer programming constructs in general, but it doesn't say anything about what you're capable of doing. What we do is prove to an employer that you as a student are capable of writing great code, that you're capable of building great applications and doing a great job wherever we might place you.
Yeah. So we do a lot of research, and I think a lot of boot camps have seen a lot of like success in their boot camp graduates, but we're still at a place where we're early on in boot camp, in the boot camp industry, and really most of the boot camp graduates do have college degrees in addition to their like boot camp education, right? Like, do you think we're getting to a place where a high school graduate can like graduate high school and then go straight into a boot camp instead of going to college? I don't know if I'm ready to make that assumption, but what do you think?
I have one right now. Yeah, I have a recent high school graduate in our class here in the Triad. He is one of the best developers that we've seen come through. He's fantastic. He's doing a great job, and he's gonna have a great career. He really will.
Interesting.
So, yeah, if you can do the work, if you can apply yourself and work hard, then yes, I think so.
What types of students? You just mentioned like applying yourself, working hard. I think like as boot camps get a little bit more popular, they can sort of be misconstrued as like a solution for every type of person and every student.
Yes.
What type of students have you seen like really thrive at a boot camp like Coder Foundry, and are they for everyone? Like, have you seen students that types of students that don't adapt to the boot camp model well?
Yes, there are those students that don't adapt to it. Our expectations are very high.
Yeah.
We place heavy demands on our students. 600 hours of coding over 12 weeks, that's a lot of work. Our students have to be willing to commit to our process, commit to our model, commit to our way of doing things, and they have to be willing to put in the time, not just in class, but outside of class to get the job done. When we hand them a deliverable at the beginning of the week and say, this has to be done by next Monday, they have to be willing to do whatever it takes to get that done. Now, if that means spending extra time with us as instructors to make sure that they understand certain concepts, then that's what they need to do. If it means putting in extra work hours at home, that's what they need to do. Those students who are willing to do whatever it takes to succeed will succeed every time. The students that think that this is just a quick trip to a job, they don't do well. You know, if
Yeah.
that's what they're looking for, and they're not willing to put in all of that hard work, then things aren't going to work out for them. I have a student in Charlotte right now. He just recently got a job offer, fantastic job offer. This guy was willing to put in 80 hours a week starting from day one. He's worked like crazy to make sure he learned everything he could possibly learn. Not just what we were teaching, but a lot on top of it. He's gone above and beyond what our expectations were. But he was willing to do whatever it took to make sure he learned what he needed to get the job that he wanted. And he got exactly that. He got the perfect job for him.
Cool.
Yeah, we're
Great.
excited.
Yeah, that's exciting. Well, cool, Andrew. It's been really cool talking to you about job placement and outcomes, sort of in light of this college scorecard. I think it's a really interesting conversation, and obviously one that's just beginning.
Yes.
Is there anything that we did not cover that you're thinking about in terms of this college scorecard outcomes right now? Do you think there's room for boot camps to like partner with universities, or do you think we should keep them separated?
I honestly, I think that there is room, but it's going to require a change of thinking in our university system. Like I said, the model that is there works great for certain topics. It doesn't work great for this industry, and we're doing our university students a disservice in the way that we handle in the way that we approach computer science education. We, you know, here at Coder Foundry and at other boot camps, we follow, well, kind of a Montessori method. Are you familiar with Montessori schools? You know,
a little bit, but explain it to our listeners.
Yeah, so the Montessori way of doing things, it's been around for over 100 years, right? This is an educational philosophy that's been around for a long, long time, but it's been around so long because it works. It's proven. It is a learn-by-doing philosophy. Give someone a little bit of information, turn them loose, and let them explore with it. Let them discover on their own. Let them build what they can build. You see Montessori preschools all over the place, and they're great. Yeah. They work fantastic for young children. We have a Montessori school for adults. That's what this is. We bring our students in, and we follow the exact same model. And I think most boot camps do that. A little bit of instruction, a lot of experimenting and practical application, a lot of learning by doing, rather than sitting in a lecture and hoping you absorb what's needed to do the job.
Very cool. Well, when is the next Coder Foundry Masterclass?
It's this Monday, September 28th.
Okay.
Yeah, we have
How can students
starting
get
both
more
in
information?
Kernersville.
Cool. Okay, wait. So in Kernersville is where y'all started, and then where is the second location again?
The second location is in Charlotte.
Charlotte. Awesome.
Yeah, and then we have other locations coming soon in DC and Atlanta as well.
Very cool. DC, I think, is definitely underserved in terms of boot camps right now, so that is smart.
I think so.
How can students get more information if they're looking for it, other than going to Course Report?
Visit our website. We have lots of information there that's helpful for students. We also have contact forms. They can get in touch with our marketing and our salespeople right away. They can even talk to instructors if they'd like to. They have easy access to the personnel here at Coder Foundry. And we're really good at getting back to people right away. So visit the website. There's lots of information there. Easy way to get in touch with us.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Andrew. We are going to continue talking to the folks at Coder Foundry, Andrew and his colleagues, about other topics, why they teach .NET when it seems like everybody else is teaching Ruby on Rails, a lot more about their boot camp. So stay tuned for those. Leave any questions or comments that you have for me or Andrew in the comments section of this, this YouTube video, and we will send out this video and the transcript to our Course Report followers. So be sure to go to Course Report, sign up for our newsletter, and you will get notes and updates about other live Q&As like this one. So thanks so much for tuning in. Thank you so much, Andrew, for joining us, and we will see you at the next one.